Hey everybody, I'm Chris Tomato. How you doing? Welcome to this week's Tomato Review. This week we're going with Warthunder. I originally was gonna do Loadout, but I decided to postpone that and do Warthunder. In the recent wake of No Man's Sky and its massive hate train and its rather unappealing aspects of it, a lot of people are kind of bummed out about it, and I was gonna do Loadout, but since I heard these stories outside, it got me interested in playing games. So in the plane kind of, or at least aerial combat things of it, when I first heard of No Man's Sky, it reminded me of this game, Warthunder. I remember liking Warthunder, and actually it was the very first game I ever played on this channel. It was really good, and I can honestly say that it is very, very appealing. And I thought, since my second game review, I thought I'd go ahead and do a game that I actually liked, since last week I did Spore Hero and absolutely hated it. So, without any further ado, here is Warthunder. Let's go. So the first thing you will notice in Warthunder is that it is a free-to-play game. In fact, it is free-to-play, and because of that, it is very easy to pick up. You don't need to pay anything, and you can really get into the game. However, it does have occasional microtransactions, which is something that a lot of people are afraid of. But don't worry, in Warthunder, the microtransactions aren't that bad. In fact, you don't actually really need to worry about them, since most of the time they're out of the way and for extra things and extra planes, which you don't need because you can get almost every plane through in-game currency. Now, aside from the only negative thing about it is that it has microtransactions, the first thing I really want to get into is the music. It is very, very good, actually. See, rather than going with a rock and roll or a pop or techno, it goes the more World War II style, like how the gameplay is. I don't know if it's actually World War II themed or from World War II, but I do know that its main underline is it could match World War II, and it does really, really good. Now, I want to say one thing first. The music will never get on your nerves. It's usually very, very low toned, it's not that difficult, and kind of sounds triumphant, especially when you win. There are some problems with the music, like it has a very small soundtrack, but the soundtrack won't get on your nerves too much, and you won't end up resenting it. Now, going to the music, the game looks really, really good. It's not this crappy, bad, negative pre-alpha form. Warthunder is a fully clean, polished game and is really, really solid. In fact, to be honest, I hate to say it, but it looks really good for what Gaijin Entertainment wanted to do with it. Gaijin Entertainment clearly put a lot of love in this game, and it really shows. The art looks like the planes and the art look all like things you'd find in around World War II, 1940s. And it doesn't just stop there, but the plane designs look good not just for the Americans, but for other countries. See, you can play as any country you want to. I, of course, went with America. But if you don't want to play as America, you can play as Japan, Germany, Russia, Britain, any one of those other countries you can play as. Now, some countries you don't have access to since they weren't in World War I, well, World War II actually, but it is really, really good, and I really want to give credit for the developers actually putting in that you can play as the other enemy planes, even if they aren't necessarily American. Now one thing is, I really want to go ahead and talk about the menus. Now, before you get into the actual gameplay, you need to first off start with a plane. You only ever start off with 2 planes. Yeah, 2. However, these planes aren't bad. You don't need to have a big plane. You can actually do enough damage with these ones that you can actually go ahead and take down some even bigger people who actually paid money to get the good planes. So the game menu isn't bad at all. In fact, I want to say it's one of the better menus out there. In fact, I can openly say that the menus are some of the cleanest menus ever. It can get a little confusing, especially if you don't know exactly what you're clicking, but with a little bit of time, you'll soon understand how the menus work. In fact, believe it or not, if you actually take the controller, certain buttons have certain designations. Triangle is always change what game type you're doing, and square is always enter the match. So if you want to play, go ahead and play, and don't really want to have to sit through the menus, just hit a simple button, and you can go right there and not have to search through the menus to get to the game. Now, I will say that the game is really, really good in its gameplay as well. See, Warthunder has two types of gameplay, tank and plane. See, I've never really played as a tank, and I have almost no experience with how to play as a tank, so I don't actually know what's going on with the tank, and I didn't get any footage of that, mainly because I don't really play as a tank. It's not my forte. However, I do play as the planes a lot, and I will say they're very, very different. Good thing is, each plane is different, and not in the way that one plane's super horrible and one plane's super overpowered. They each have their ups and downs. One thing is, a lot of more smaller assault planes actually feel like assault planes. They go much faster than any other plane, and they have a lot more bullets, and they don't carry bombs or missiles. Most of their bombs or missiles don't actually have any realistic, not realistic, or I should say, but they just don't have those. So if you're trying to fight an enemy base, don't go with an assault plane. The most they can do is shoot a few bullets at it, and last time I checked, bullets don't really go good against military bases. However, that's another thing. There are also bomber planes. You can play them as a bomber plane as well, and it's really interesting. Bomber planes are much, much slower. They don't go nearly as fast and are very, very slow. And rather than focusing on offensive, they focus more or less on straightforward destruction of the enemy. This is done by bombs and missiles. These planes often carry lots of them. While your small little assault planes can have like maybe 1 or 2, bomber planes can carry 4 to 10. Now, these bombs are not used for enemy planes. See, in the enemy airfield, you actually have the enemy airstrip and your airstrip. If you can get a bomber plane over to the enemy's airstrip, you can actually successfully bomb it and instantly win the battle. Mainly because it prevents the enemy from getting planes out there and guarantees your success. Preventing players from restarting them from re-going with a different plane, it's a little bit realistic. If you don't have an airstrip to play with, then you're kind of stuck with your plane, and if you die, you die. That's it. So the good thing is that there are also multiple maps. Some maps are clearly designed for the assault planes, and some are clearly designed for bomber planes. So whether you're playing as an assault plane or a bomber plane, you still have a use in the team. If you don't have a bomber plane, you can't do much damage to the enemy base. You can't. But if you are a bomber plane, you might want to have a few buddies backing you up with an assault plane to help get you back. That's another thing, the combat. See, planes don't just shoot. You can't actually shoot the plane. See, in order to really get hits, you have to lead your shots. The game luckily has a really good crosshair system. In front of the plane is a circle with a dotted line leading to the plane. That's where the plane is headed and its trajectory. Well, triangle words. So this trajectory actually has a certain use. So if a plane is flying upwards, you can't just shoot the plane. The bullets won't land. If you lead your shot, however, it has a stronger chance of hitting. And you need those hits, because planes go down very easy. Since this is a World War II simulator, it has very little techno stuff. So every single time you play as your plane, or fight or shoot anything, you gotta make sure you actually take some realism to it. You can't just shoot the plane, you've gotta lead it. You gotta kind of think ahead a bit in order to actually successfully shoot down enemies. Another big thing is that you yourself are kind of weak and fragile. Oftentimes you will find yourself shot down very easily no matter what plane you're in. This is because enemies are just as strong as you. Since the game is completely multiplayer, every enemy is an enemy plane, and there's very little you can actually do in order to claim victory. It's all about the shooting of the planes, and that's it. Okay, so after the main forces of combat, that's actually it. Warthunder, while it has a lot of features, doesn't really do much else. Warthunder, other than its air combat and its fighting tactics, that's about it. What you see on the screen right now is what you get. It is a pretty simple and fun World War II air dogfighting simulator. It's not the best game out there, but it is really fun. I can safely say that Warthunder is very interesting, very fun. The combat is very addictive. The menus are clean, and the microtransactions are pretty much out there. It's very hard to find them. Now, aside from that, I will say that War Thunder ranks pretty high on my list of good games. It's very, very fun, and when it came out and when I originally played it, it was really, really fun and interesting. So, I'm going to go ahead and let y'all go. The review has been kind of long, and I don't want to eat up too much of your time. Anyway, I want to say thank you all for watching. If you really liked today's episode, please, why don't you jam that like button? And if you really liked what you saw here, please shoot that subscribe button. It really helps me out. It lets me know what you guys like to see. If you have a game that you want me to talk about, or just have an opinion on War Thunder, go ahead and leave one in the comments below. And, like always, all hail our Lord and Savior, Mr. Sunny. I'm his highest disciple, Aggressive Tomato, signing out. Bye-bye.